The Premier League season has continued to descend into absolute chaos. Arsenal firmly at the top, multiple red cards at Spurs Stadium, and St. James Park was rocking and a chaotic game. Welcome back to Joeys Vantage for my round so far in match week 17. Hold on, wait there. If you want to stay ahead of the Premier League action, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so when my videos pop up, you are right there to see them. And as always, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Joeys Vantage, and let's get back into it. And it was one of the bigger games of the week. Newcastle at home versus Chelsea. And as of late, Newcastle have been absolutely ruthless with 10 goals in their last 5 games. And you thought, wow, Waltmad is coming into his own. You've got other players like Harvey Barnes scoring and really giving him that lift. You know, they lost Isaac in the off-season. You thought, where would the goals come? And for Chelsea, we thought we seen a mentality shift. We really thought we seen them when they versed Arsenal at home. We thought this was a game that, you know, nearly won. They drew. They were down to 10 men. They showed a mentality like we hadn't seen before. A younger group, but led by some really good players. You know, Reece James, Caicedo. But no, in the last couple of weeks, losses away to Leeds, to AFC, games that they should have capitalised, they weren't able to grab it by the scruff of the neck. And in the first 20 minutes, it was Nick Waltmad. He showed a presence. He showed us that length he has, that aggressiveness. He had a brace in the first 20 minutes, and we thought, is Newcastle going to be able to show Chelsea, you know, how it's done? And what a second half it was for Chelsea. Coming back, a free kick, Reece James, what a ball from that far out. It really didn't look like he had much power on it, but hey, a goal from that far out, you'll take. And then Pedro with the equaliser, and you thought, at St. James Park, Newcastle had a really good chance to beat, you know, a top 4 team, and they just absolutely blew it. And you thought, you know, you want to get back into Europe. These are the games, you know, you're playing at home. You've got such a good advantage heading into the half, and they just didn't capitalise. They didn't take their opportunity. And then we headed to Spurs Stadium, where they hosted Liverpool Football Club. And for Spurs, they've just absolutely spiraled out of control since that Eze masterclass at Emirates Stadium. And for Thomas Frank, you know, what can he do? He's got a squad that, you know, in the transfer market, they were ambitious, but now, you know, what are the questions and who has the answers? And for Liverpool, look, they're looking really solid. I think they're playing much better, especially in the last month with multiple clean sheets. I think they're showing who they truly are. One of the better teams in the league. We've got to remember they are the champions of England. I think that recent form and a star player like Ekitike, I think that anything can truly happen now for them. And like we just said, Hugo Ekitike continues to be such a source of goals for Liverpool, scoring again, and that's 5 goals in his last 3 games. And then for Spurs, Xavi Simons, what are you doing? In the 33rd minute, picks up that red card and down to 10 men against one of the best teams of the league. You're showing no discipline, and it all goes down from there for them. And even though Isaac had to go off, he did come on for Ekitike, scoring their second goal and showing his brilliance. I think that, yes, at the start of the season with the injuries, he was, you know, unavailable. But now with multiple goals in the last month, he's just showing, you know, signs that he's able to come in and now and really produce. And for Spurs, look, they got a late goal, but it wasn't enough. And then we seen another red card to Romero, and I think the frustration got to him. And I think for Spurs, you know, they've been winning games in Europe, especially in the Champions League, but when they're back in the Prem on their home soil, they've got to get it together. Like, you cannot perform to make mistakes like this against really good opposition, you know, especially at home. Their home form has been dreadful. And then we headed to Hill Dickinson Stadium, where Everton hosted the Gunners, Arsenal, and you thought for Arsenal, this is a game they could get. You know, you could always see a draw because of how defensively good Everton have been. You know, that's their main strength and point of contention, really. You know, Arsenal 3 wins in the last 4 games, and yes, wins to Wolves. Obviously, you were, you know, even though they nearly drew, you saw games like that they could really get, but they proved their worth. Jokeres, my player to watch in match week 17, and you thought, wow, coolness under pressure with that penalty, really showing his composure. Now with 3 wins in their last 4 games, look, they're showing that consistency. Arsenal, that really title winning mentality that they truly need. And even with players like Gabriel out, they're showing that they can be replaced with others like Hincapié, and they can go away and get such good wins, you know, clean sheets, and just show that grit and determination that all sides need when they make that title charge. Now that wraps up the week so far in match week 17. Be on the lookout for my recap of the round and what a round it has been so far. I'm really looking forward to that Aston Villa versus Manchester United game. And as always, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Joeys Vantage.